Hello, world! I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned in to another live edition of the Locker Gnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short, your daily dose of not just the news, but answers that you can use like an answer to the question, Chris, this is a strange angle. Why are you using this angle again? What happened? Well, interesting question, Matt, and I'm glad you asked. I'm hanging out with you. This is a Google Plus Hangout or a Google Hangout or a YouTube Hangout or whatever the hell they're calling it. This means a few things. One, YouTube Live is still barfing on me. It's not been a friend of mine for the past couple of weeks. And I like doing live videos on a regular basis, but the live YouTube experience is really in sore need of work, and I've tried just about everything and continue to run into problems. So this is going to have to suffice for today as the live broadcast. As you very well know, however, frame rates can be a problem with Hangouts. So if at any point during this broadcast I get really like that, but I mean, you can still hear me and I sound okay, and the video just seems choppy, it's not your problem. It's actually a big problem with the Google Plus Hangout, and it's the best that I can do. So thank you for opting in to spending some time with me. I'm very grateful for that. Of course, not just my Gnomies, all of you out there, but my Super Gnomies, aka the patrons. I've been stacking bonuses for them on a consistent basis, and they're getting even more bonuses. Yeah. They get to watch live, they get all the behind the scenes stuff, and they get to discover things about me that nobody else really knows. Yeah. Like the kind of underwear I'm wearing. Can't believe I'm going to talk about this here. And yes, this happens to be geeky. Scotty Vest apparently makes underwear that has pockets in it. My underwear has pockets. Now, if you ever doubted my validity in being some kind of nerd or a geek, just remember that. Although I'm still very much looking forward to getting those Boba Fett underoos. That's next on my list. First, I need to lose weight. You know, I'm really going to. I'm looking to Jerry Berg, honestly. Barnacle Nerdgasm. He's trying to lose weight, and you know what? I'm all for supporting anybody who is trying to better themselves that way. And he's getting me thinking I probably need to be doing the same thing. Granted, we're two completely different sizes, but I could stand to lose a few pounds. And now that I have a fitness tracker, it should be somewhat easier to manage. I know I have to be way more aware of the types of foods that I eat, how much that I eat. But I think working out is something that I have to work in to my schedule, and that's something that I've been meaning to do for quite some time. But Jerry, honestly, I'm saying this to you. Thank you for being an inspiration. And you may not see yourself as such, but sometimes just saying that you're doing it is enough. And so, as much as I also know that the basement is probably riddled with spiders this time of year, that's where we have my workout machine, my Gazelle. I do want to work out on it once to see how the calorie burn works, if it works at all, or if I'm just as better off, walking outside and, taking Jedi with me and possibly getting her some sun. So there's some geeky updates. I've got more for you. Don't worry. I've got plenty more for you, as a matter of fact, including a bargain. Littlebits.com/LockerGnome. That's where you could go to save $20. And if you haven't heard of littlebits.com, you have not been listening to me. This is essentially a series of gizmos that you can stack together to create different types of machines that otherwise wouldn't exist in this capacity. So not to be confused with a capacitor. And I believe some of these may even come with capacitors, these little circuit components. So it also comes with this recipe booklet of sorts to kind of give you a better idea or a starting point. And then it gives you kind of like DIY types of projects. It's kind of neat. Littlebits.com/LockerGnome is where you can save money. And let me go ahead and show you what I built today. Look at that. I call it the Nerd Cactus. I'm making that up just now. Wait, is it a Nerd Cactus? You tell me, is it Nerd Cactus or Geek Cactus? Which one do you like? Because that's kind of what it looks like. It looks like a nerdy cactus. So I've got my power module. Then here I've got a fork. There's a fork right there. And it's allowing me to split off into 3. So on this side, I've got a servo, not a Tom servo, this little dial thing. And don't worry, I'll show you how it all works together. Here I've put a button, and then on top it is an RGB LED, which I can adjust, I believe. Yes, I believe. Yeah, I can adjust with my little screwdriver. It comes with a little screwdriver, and adjust the color. And on this side, I've got the EL wire, and you know I'm a huge fan of EL wire. So here we go. I'm going to turn it on for the first time to see how well it works. Let's go ahead and put the servo there. I know what I'm going to do. Got to be very careful about this. There you go. And now I got to turn it on. This is not all this. It's working. I got it. Look at that. It's on. It's working. You see it? Look at that. Ah, and the EL wire is glowing. Look, it's glowing green. The EL wire. Okay, so now let's press the button. I made that. I could have probably made something a lot more functional, but where's the fun in that? Littlebits.com/LockerGnome is where you can build your own and do whatever you want to with it. It's a lot of fun for adults and kids with adults. Because I think ages 8 and up, I may be experimenting with Jedi sooner rather than later. If she happens to be a mature girl, not put everything in her mouth. She kind of does that at her age. She's of the age. In case you're not interested in any of the other updates that I'm sharing with you today, because I know you're interested in Little Bits, I also have the unofficial guide to Feedly, a pay what you want mobile first developers bundle at deals.lockergnome.com, and the Master Chief Edition Xbox One giveaway. Now, I don't yet have an Xbox One. I'm working on it. I swear. I'm kind of waiting to see if there's going to be a special edition Star Wars Xbox One. That's the one I'll likely get. I'm still trying to find out if I have the rights to Twitch gameplay. I've been experimenting with gameplay on YouTube, I know, despite the problems that I've run into. Of course, the games that I like playing, I don't think anybody else cares about. The Crossy Road game that I played seemed to be pretty popular when I posted that. Between the Activision Atari game that I played, the Crossy Road, and then what was it? Geometry Wars 3. Crossy Road was the top one. And I've got to find another app or a game to play. If you have any suggestions, if you're watching me live, please let me know. And that may be the game that I play on the YouTube channel today as an experiment. Then we also have the Haiku mobile shopping. Now, this is something that I kind of have to show you. This is a gadget. It's not an app. It's a gadget in conjunction with an app. And what you can do is you can actually speak into this little thing that you can stick on the side of your refrigerator or whatever. It also scans barcodes, and then it sends your shopping list to a mobile app. So effectively, this little disc makes it easier for you to manage shopping list. Get a 10-gallon drum of Pop Rocks, or and then the next time you need to go shopping, you've got the list. It's already built for you. You don't have to remember. You don't have to worry about sticky notes. You don't have to worry about managing it any other way. So this looks to be a stellar gadget, and we've got a discount for you, 25% off if you're looking for a gadget that may very well transform your life. But admittedly, it's kind of for a small market. And I know I got to be clear about this and pretty transparent about it. I believe this is serving a very, very tiny market of people who need food or who shop for stuff. You may not do that. That may not be your thing. I don't know. I could have a lot of communists in the audience. What do I know? I can't pull you that way. So now that I've gotten all that, covered and, have explained everything as best I can to this point, let me look if I want to do this. I realized that I've had this on my desk for some time. The PowerFlex stand. It's a battery that is also a tablet stand or a phone stand. It's an all-in-one. I'll unbox this at some point during the broadcast. First, I want to cover some fair amount of news. Apparently this morning, it happened. Even though iOS does not have its news app yet, it will be coming down the pike at some point with iOS 9, certainly in the betas. If you're looking for something to subscribe to in the iOS news app, my new tech blog has been admitted. You can see the tech blog. You can read the tech blog. You can subscribe to the tech blog. It's on Perillo.com. It's easy to get to. You spell my last name, .com. And what it is basically some pieces that I'm putting together, high thinking pieces. This isn't like simplistic news regurgitation. Topics that I've thought about, or if I see a bit of news and I want to add my insight to the whole array of insight, this is the place I'm going to do it. Perillo, or I'm sorry, is it Perillo? What have I called it? Perillo's Posits. I've got so many names. One last name, though, thank goodness. Perillo's Posits is going to be on the iOS News app. You can search for me there and get me, on your iOS News app. So don't say that you couldn't find anything. I'm there. I will be with you on your iOS device. But if you have an Android device, if you have Feedly, it's got an RSS feed. You can subscribe to an RSS feed and get whatever you want, however you want, whenever you want, whenever I publish. Now, here's the thing. Right now on the website, no ads are running. No ads. How am I doing that? Well, it's because the iOS News app is going to be having ads. And then, of course, I'll be, running sponsors as well as the sponsors come in. So it won't be annoying, though. I guarantee it won't be annoying. I'll be annoying, but that, particular model of publishing, I don't think is going to get annoying, because I know a lot of you want this kind of intelligence from me on a regular basis, and I needed a place to put it, because it just gets lost in doing a lot of these videos, unfortunately. One of my recent posts has been Old iPhones Die Hard, speaking to how Apple is pretty much still supporting the iPhone 4S years later. And that's pretty unprecedented, unexpected, and certainly very, very nice for Apple to do. But I think there's a method to their madness. I wrote about it at length. Currently, patrons have access to this as a preview. Everybody else will see what I wrote tomorrow. What they can see today, or what you can see brand new today, is my essay on iPad is the new PC. It's a good think piece. Take a read. How do I say it? Just give it a read. Give it a glance. If you like it, share it. Let me know what you think. I disabled comments because I don't want comments on that site. Comments are great for some things and not great for other things. On LockerGnome.com, I found 7 hard Halo halves to hold. Not Halo hardware. Did you know there's a Halo mouse? And you can have Cortana on your desk without running Windows. It's a little statuette. There's also a Halo edition of Risk you could play and collect. So I found a whole bunch of Halo collectibles if you're interested. Now, if you're not interested in that, maybe you're interested in Samsung. Okay. I'm not going to talk about some of the bigger issues circling around Samsung. But I will tell you that they have released Game Recorder Plus for certain Samsung Android devices. This is fascinating to me because this space is really starting to heat up. Now, I know I'm having major issues with YouTube streaming. Obviously, this is what I explained at the beginning of this particular broadcast. I hope they get their act together before their gaming vertical launches. I have every intention on doing something with YouTube gaming. It's a separate channel, I guess. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what games I can play, when I'm, cleared to play, when I'm not cleared to play. There's, it's a little unclear, the types of games that I would be able to play, but I'm absolutely interested in that. I'll likely be trying Twitch as well. I've got the games that I like, and I want to connect with you in other ways, and I can't necessarily play the games that you like to play unless I like to play them too. Does that make sense? And unfortunately, I'm not necessarily interested in a lot of popular games, except for Star Wars Battlefront. That looks epic. So they've released this Game Recorder Plus app. And this is kind of nice if you want to record your games on that the Samsung Galaxy, or one of the Samsung Galaxies that happens to be supported. In tow, and this is not exactly the same, but if you happen to use an iPhone or an iPad or an iOS device in general, in iOS 9, there's a new framework called Replay Kit, where app developers can effectively build the same type of functionality or bake it into the app. YouTube gaming, I guess, is going to be also available for iOS, and I don't know if it's going to be iOS, I think Android, and then web. I haven't seen it yet. No one's seen it. We've only seen previews on the web of YouTube's gaming platform. But it just seems that it's starting to heat up, the online gaming scenario. Not to say that it's been slow by any stretch of the imagination. I've been playing video games almost my entire life, and not in the same way that you necessarily played video games. I grew up on Atari, and in the arcades, Donkey Kong and Pac-Man and Frogger and the classics. So those are the types of games I tend to like to play. Even in playing iOS games, or mobile games, I tend to play more casual games. Pick them up, put them down, have fun, and not really build towards anything. That could change over time, I'm sure, especially as Jedi, as she gets older. I want to raise her on the classics and play classics with her, and kind of bring her up to modern video games, if only so that she can have an appreciation of where video games came from, where her father came from, the classic video games. So Samsung is getting into the game of game recording. You can now search for chain restaurant nutritional information in the Google app, and that's nice. I still use the Google app at this stage. That's something that doesn't happen all that often. I usually fall back onto the Google app when Siri falls on me. Like I've constantly asked it a question, and it can never translate what I'm saying correctly. Google nails it every time. And not every time, 99% of the time. Siri is just nothing but a constant, or has been a constant disappointment for me. Frustrating, mind-numbingly frustrating. But in tow with being able to dig up nutritional information in the Google app. This is not related to Google. It's not related to search necessarily, but trans fats are going to be phased out in the U.S. Now, anybody who's been following me for a great degree of time knows that I was trying to say a great deal of time and degree of time, and said those two words at the same time, made up a completely different word there altogether. So if you've been following me, you likely know that I do my best to avoid foods that probably aren't filled with good things. Now, I like having fun and eating fun foods, don't get me wrong, but I tend to sway towards the natural stuff if I can. I'll try snack foods, a bite here or there, don't have much of a sweet tooth, but I've actively, and there have been exceptions to this rule, no doubt about it. I've made it very clear to Diana, when we get food, I don't want anything with hydrogenated oil. Won't eat it. Trans fats. If I know it's in it, I don't want to eat it. So luckily, a lot of snack foods have kind of been getting away from it, making it a little easier to try fun foods. But trans fats basically are going to get banned in the U.S. Like, it's done. The game over. And I knew this over a decade ago. Not to say I told you so, but I've largely been living trans fat free. And it was more difficult to do back in the day when they were everywhere. A little easier to do now, but still, it's some amount of vindication to know that I had made that choice 10 years ago rather than finding out about it today. And apparently, it's led to an increase in heart attacks, the raising of bad cholesterol, etc. So I've been healthier because of that. Am I perfectly healthy? No, but it's just something you might want to avoid. If I had any recommendations for Jerry, I wrote up a blog post on chris.pirillo.com years ago that I probably need to read again. 50 weight loss tips. Avoid trans fats, and in a couple of years' time, everyone in the U.S. won't really have to worry about it. Trans fats could still be put into products, but they've got to write a special letter, et cetera, et cetera. It won't be worth their time, and everyone's going to be conscious of this. So I avoid artificial sweeteners very actively. I do not waver from that point. Trans fats, and I do my best to avoid high fructose corn syrup. A sip of, a soda that Diana has now and again doesn't bother me too much. But these are just conscious choices that I had to make as someone who, knew enough about science back then, 10 years ago, to be able to make those decisions for myself. And what do you know? Fast forward to today, and I'm not going to say I told you so, but I have mentioned this many times before. I have. Has nothing to do with technology. Apart from them using technology to say, oh, this isn't good for people. Why are we putting this in food? To increase shelf life. There you go. Your health traded for shelf life. How does that make you feel? I'd be very, very upset, but that's just me. Okay, moving on. Google Maps for Android now lets you know if your destination will be closed upon arrival. That's nice. That's a bonus. It's a great little feature that is likely going to be copied. And I've penned a post about copying, and I kind of spoke to this on or during Friday's TLDR. And to me, it's like it's just a feature. It's begging to be copied. It's a good feature. I don't, ultimately, who loses if it's a good feature on every platform? Granted, this is currently only on Google Maps for Android, but I'd imagine it's going to roll out to iOS. And that's great. And if Apple decides to adopt something like that at some point in the future, I certainly would not be disappointed at all. It makes mapping into a destination that much more crucial, or at least viable, rather than saying, oh, I'll go there. We'll just drive there. It will be more intelligent for you. Oh, crap. I forgot. How much have I been banging the table? Oh, no. Have I been banging the table? I assume someone would have told me if I was banging the table. Okay, if I banged the table, I apologize. I'm going to do my best not to move my arms for the remainder of this broadcast. Now that I've lost everybody who can't stand the banging of the table, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. There's a new Kindle Paperwhite. It's got a high-res 300 ppi display, almost double. Very, very sharp. New font, exclusive font. I have not purchased a Kindle or had a Kindle in a long time. Ages, years. Because I just don't read ebooks that way, honestly. I find that it's not the way that I digest things. I don't have the Kindle on me. I don't read books, digital books at least. And so for me, it's not even worth $100. It's worth a lot more than $100, I believe, to many of you. And certainly, I think it could be worth getting, especially if you do a lot of reading. A super sharp display on e-ink, and I've always loved e-ink as a technology, but that's just something that was released today. Some indie music labels are upset about Apple Music, the 3-month free trial, wherein the artists will not get paid any kind of royalties. I don't know how Apple's going to settle this. I mean, they're probably going to take it up. I'm going to set my arms on my desk, but I'm not going to move them around so as not to bump the microphone and cause any undue thumping. The complaint is legit, no doubt about it. Artists didn't necessarily opt into this, and labels didn't necessarily opt into this directly, or at least according to some of these indie labels. And these indie labels do carry with them some superpower, not to be confused with superpowers, but like in terms of music. Like Adele's label apparently is one of these labels that doesn't want to be involved with Apple Music because of this. So I'm sure Apple can figure out a way around it. From a distance, the way that I would see it, I think artists should be able to opt out of the 3-month, the free trial if they want, but they can still be in Apple Music when someone's paying. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, you take the trial, you get all these artists, but if you pay, you get even more artists. But it's all based upon the artist and what the artist wants. And I think to me, that seems to be fair, that everybody wins in that scenario. I don't necessarily see any downsides. Like if people want to, listen to Adele in Apple Music, pay for it. She's not going to come with a trial, apparently. So I think that would likely be the quickest way to resolution. But what do I know? I know nothing about the music industry at all. I know nothing about Apple and how they conduct business or any of these record labels. But that seems to me to be the most cogent way of responding to this particular problem. I should probably write that up on Perillo.com, huh? Okay, I will. I promise. I've got to learn more about the scenario, though. So there you go. Some people are upset. You can now reserve an Apple Watch to buy in store. By now, you've likely seen not just my 2 Apple Watch reviews, the long one and the short one, but the 7 reasons I like my Apple Watch. Next week, we'll be publishing my 7 reasons I don't like the Apple Watch. It's kind of funny to see knee-jerk reactions from some commenters because we haven't published the second video yet, why I don't like the Apple Watch. So they've only seen one, and they make a judgment. Well, over time, this is the way I'm going to play it out. I've now recorded and had in the can the 7 reasons I like the LG G4. That's available to patrons now. It was edited last night and should be available to patrons now because it's done. It's in the can. I may have misspoke. But John will be editing for next week the 7 reasons I don't like the LG G4. So the idea is that I can provide commentary on both sides of the equation, and together they create a comprehensive review. One's pretty much about the positive, and the other's about the not as great as the positive stuff. And in either case, based upon my experiences, because that's all I have to speak for. It's not about specs. Specs are, as far as I'm concerned, largely irrelevant, and I've talked about that at length as well. So I'm not going to, beat a dead horse there. I will blog about it. Then you can read about it. Read? I don't come to YouTube to read. I'm pretending to be you. And I'm assuming you don't sound like that. You probably sound amazing. What do I know? So yeah, you want to buy your own Apple Watch? You can. You get it and pick it up in store. It's pretty cool. If you want, I say you could probably wait for watchOS 2 at this stage, now knowing that it's coming down the pike and it will likely improve the Apple Watch for what it is. I've run into so many software hiccups with the watch. I can't recommend it wholesale, certainly not at its cost or at the price. It's a nice gadget, but it's absolutely not essential. I'm fairly confident that if Apple keeps doing what it's doing and evolving the software and adding more sensors, that second gen will be better, third gen will be even better, and fourth gen, so on and so forth. But the sensors, I think, are ultimately going to be the biggest value to the Apple Watch. To be able to, unlock or intelligence around the data that you're generating anyway. So that's the value of having sensors. Sharp's new screen tech promises to make smartphones even thinner and lighter. And this was something that, normally I wouldn't care that much about. I mean, ultimately I would if the screen came, on one of the devices that I had, especially if it was perceivably better, flatter, more power efficient, brighter, vibrant, sharper, whatever. But there's one quote in the article that is at the end, if it wasn't the last sentence, that really jumped out at me. Don't discount the potential impact of seemingly incremental steps. And I thought that was just so intelligent, because the problem with the way that many nerds perceive innovation, it's by leaps and bounds. So that's not how it works. It works incrementally. It works slowly. I mean, sometimes you do have dramatic changes, but that's not usually what pushes the ball forward. Apple couldn't jump from an iPhone first gen to an iPhone 6. It wasn't in the cards. They had to step into it. And they had a lot of things to balance, in terms of what they were able to do. By and large, being limited by technology, or at least the availability of technology or the cost of technology, whatever the reason happened to be. But again, I just thought that was so well stated. Don't discount the potential impact of seemingly incremental steps. Small steps, they'll add up. And then you look back and think, wow. You think back to the devices you were using 10 years ago. Did they all change overnight? It's not that. That's not how it worked. It just kind of grew incrementally, a little better, a little better, a little better, a little better, a little better. It's one of the reasons why PC sales have kind of been flatlined, or even Macs, if you want to lump them into that category. Because quite honestly, I mean, they're getting better, but there hasn't really been a lot of new technology or advancements in technology to make them substantially better to justify the cost. I'm not talking about outliers like gamers, who are always upgrading their video card and cooling and modding and everything. I'm talking for the average consumer. There just hasn't been enough changing to be able to drive new sales. If what they already have is working for them, well, then they're good in that sense. 37 new emoji have been added to Unicode 8. This is official. Now, even though this is now official, we've got official new emoji in Unicode 8. Don't expect it or these emoji to show up on your devices immediately. It may take up to a year or longer if they ever get supported. So new emoji coming down the pike. You can expect to see at some point in the future, whenever the device or software developers design icons around these emoji. We'll have a bottle with a popping cork, burrito, cheese wedge, hot dog, popcorn, taco, finally got an emoji, turkey, unicorn face. There's some sports symbols, or at least a few more, including air hockey. That's kind of fun. More religious symbols, an upside down face, a face with rolling eyes, zipper mouth face, money mouth face, face with thermometer, nerd face, thinking face, face with head bandage, robot face, hugging face, sign of the horns. Now we've moved on from face to this. This is an emoji, an official emoji. That, if Apple decides not to use the middle finger emoji, that's Apple's call. Windows 10 will support the middle finger emoji. That is the only reason I say to upgrade to Windows 10, because of the middle finger emoji. I don't know if Apple's ever going to include the middle finger emoji. sad to say. I think they should, but lock it behind some kind of hey, I'm an adult and I believe that I can use the middle finger if I want to use the middle finger. There's also an amphora, and I believe that's some kind of a vase, like a large cask. Crab, bow and arrow, lion face, and a scorpion. So new emoji. These are official emoji. They are real. It's just going to take a while. You can't just like, oh, I got them. No. They actually have to be like coded. They have to be like designed and then integrated. Apple's certainly ahead of the game because part of the emoji update was the skin tones. That's now Apple included them in the iOS 8.3 update before they were official. So they're thinking forward. They've already sorry, and knocked the mic there, or at least the pop filter. They've already included the live long and prosper emoji. You can key that in. It just doesn't have a mapping for it yet for whatever reason. I'm not sure why they left that out. Maybe it's part of an iOS 9 update. Maps.apple.com/vehicles will show you where Apple Maps vehicles plan on being, potentially in your neck of the woods. One of the bigger bits of news to roll out was a shakeup at Microsoft today. And before I get into that, I am going to mention something else that was almost not a surprise, but something that could very well take us to the next level of performance with applications on the web in relation to our web browsers. Google, Microsoft, Mozilla, and others have teamed up to launch WebAssembly, a new binary format for the web. So it could potentially run faster and more efficient than JavaScript, based on JavaScript. And eventually, over time, the two will completely diverge and one will go one direction, the other will go another. So this is fantastic that they're all on board. This isn't a proprietary technology necessarily. This is something that all the browser vendors are basically working on. Google, Microsoft, and WebKit in tow. And with WebKit, you get Safari. So the fact that everyone's playing with WebAssembly gives me hope. That's actually very, very good news. We likely won't see anything that's worth noting or seeing the performance differences for another 2 or 3 years. Because remember, the browser developers have to bake it into the browsers in order to support it. And then the applications have to be developed. It doesn't happen overnight. It's going to be years, but it's got to start somewhere. So today is when it started, WebAssembly. So there's a shakeup at Microsoft. And what it boils down to in relation to what I think a lot of people in my community probably care about most. Windows chief Terry Myerson is now taking over Surface, HoloLens, Lumia, the Microsoft Band, Xbox, and all of Microsoft's devices efforts. They're basically rolling them into the division that used Windows, or that used Windows, that developed Windows. So it's basically Windows and devices are going to be, if I understand this correctly, it's going to be a newly formed division between devices and window engineering. So Microsoft's going to deal with hardware and software under Terry Myerson. Elop's gone, and wow. A few other people are gone. A few other people changed positions. What's interesting to me, apart from the politics, which I do not understand, I don't pretend to understand this, is knowing that we've got Windows 10 coming down the pike, and I guess Terry's going to be the person in charge. We've got, a rapidly changing industry, a declining mind share in relation to PC and how average people use it. I'm not talking about edge cases. Microsoft's putting their hardware devices together with software. And I think that's actually a good idea, if only because it brings them closer to Apple's territory. Not to say that they're like Apple. Microsoft still licenses its platform or platforms. Apple doesn't necessarily do that. I don't think Microsoft's going to stop doing what they're doing any more than I think Apple's going to stop doing what they're doing any more than I think either one should stop doing what they're doing. But if they have a deeper integration and communication between hardware and software, I think everyone's going to benefit. I think we're going to have fantastically better products. So, like I said, this just happened. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of armchair quarterbacking happening from everybody out there. But I think that's the biggest news is seeing that maybe Microsoft understands that the more tightly you can integrate a good piece of hardware with a good piece of software and getting those two types of teams to communicate with one another, what everybody gets is a good product, or a better product than what may have been developed in the past. So that's the big shakeup at Microsoft. I don't really have much more to say about that. In fact, I don't even know if I have much more to say about anything today. Those are pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. So now I'm going to get to my PowerFlex stand. And then after I unbox this, we're probably just going to roll into the Patron Hangout, which we do every weekday. You are more than welcome to join us. Head over to chrispirillo.com to get all the bonuses, including all the sneak peeks and the intelligence and Q&A priority, and just knowing that you're supporting my endeavors. That's all I need. Woo! Almost knocked that keyboard. I've got to be careful not to bang the desk and not slice my hand. Oh, could I have opened this more easily? Sorry. This is why I don't do a lot of unboxings, because a lot of the boxes kind of suck for boxes. Okay, there we go. Ooh, okay, it's silver. I like that. It's got a little pouch. It's got some. Oh, keep knocking that pop filter. It's got some heft to it. The battery feels very lightweight. The heft is really in the component that will help accommodate the tablet. So there, that pops out just like so. It's configurable that way, so I can slide it like that. You can stick your phone in there if you want. I think that the bigger value is you've got a couple of USB ports for smartphone and a tablet. So 1 amp and 2 amp smartphone tablet. They labeled them appropriately. What's this? Does this do anything? This has got to do something. Hang on. I'm looking. Oh, I wonder if you can stick your cable in there, or a cable in here. It's like is that a hidden compartment? No, it's not. It's a tripod mount? No, it was relatively useless. Hang on. What? I'm looking at whatever Liz texted me. I'm looking on my watch. All right. I don't know why this screw thing is here. I probably could have read the directions, but it seemed to me that was relatively useless, unless it was a tripod mount, which it likely was. Yeah. Okay, cool. Do I have juice? I've got juice. Look at that. Juice. It's glowing. Yay. So I can plug in a tablet. Am I inclined to use this? That is a fantastic question. It is bulky. I don't really make use of stands necessarily, at least here. Maybe it could go downstairs somewhere. I mean, I hold on to a lot of these things because you never really know when you're going to get it. It is compact. You could, slide it into a drawer and just pull it out when you need to. It's also got grippies on the bottom. It's kind of nice. Like I said, I think the bigger value is that it's a stand that doubles as or I guess really an adjustable stand that doubles as a battery. Or having a battery. See, now if it was a tripod mount, I'd imagine it'd be mounted somewhere on the bottom. I don't know. Neat, cool. I appreciate them sending it along. I'm sorry it took me so long to actually showcase this or highlight it, but I'm doing it on the week that we have a sponsor, if only because everybody will be able to see it on TLDR. Because normally for TLDR, we publish videos every weekday, but only the patrons get to see most of them. And on the weeks that we do have sponsors, I'm able to publish the videos live for everybody. So you can tune into the podcast. Everybody gets that for free every single weekday. Head over to soundcloud.com and look for Chris Pirillo. I don't know. I think the link is in the video's description. If it's not, it will be. No, that's my, is that, this is what Dr. Evil does. Like he does the whole finger curl, the pinky curl on his mouth. Yes. Something like that. It's been so long since I've watched Austin Powers. He's the man for you. And I'm going to go ahead and leave you be. Thank you again for your support, whether you're a patron or not. I appreciate everything that you do for me in supporting me in whatever way that you see fit. Thanks again for your time, your attention, for watching all the videos that we're producing for you, subscribing, sharing, interacting, when and wherever you can. We're almost at 10,000 people on Periscope. That's been a lot of fun. I'm not sure exactly what we're doing on Periscope next, but something will happen. Tonight, I'm going to be recording my vehicle review, my next vehicle review for the Kia Sorento, and that's happening. But I've been waiting until, because it gets hot this time of year, at least in the Seattle area, very hot, 73 degrees. It doesn't sound like it's hot, but when the sun's coming in, it gets really hot in the car, even with the air conditioner on. So I've got to wait until the sun goes down if I need to record later in the day to have or to be able to make sure the camera does not overheat. So that review will be coming out. It'll be posted to my classic channel, just like a few other of the things that you likely have been missing. Thanks again for your time and attention. If you are a patron, keep hanging out here with this video. We're going to hang out ever so briefly. You can kind of see it behind the scenes. And everybody else, well, you know, you had a chance. Every day you've got a chance. It's never too late to pledge your support.